I'm really glad you took the time to be with us today, and hopefully we'll all learn something together today. And first off, I would like to share that we are having a bilingual event today, so there will be some interpreting. So I will let a wonderful young lady explain how that works so everybody can be a part of the webinar today. Take off.
Can you hear me?
Did you want to go ahead and explain that? I don't know how to explain it. I can share my screen. And I have...
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Brian, I think because you're in an English channel.
Sure, the interpreter does a little thing on how to show you how to get to it. So this is what's going to open for you, but we're going to quickly close that because we want to look at this one. Oh, it did it. Okay. All right. We're going to try and see if it'll let us reload. I just had to make a few changes for what we're going to talk about today. So if they're not there, we'll just make them together. So what we're going to talk about first is our banking. So we have our banking over here, and there's tutorials that you can do. You can take a guided tour. You can get an overview. This is really good if you're a beginner. You can go step by step by step. It is really a great little tutorial if you want to do that. If you just want to get an overview of it, you can do that. We're not going to do that today because I'm here. So I will be your tutorial. So first we're going to go down. This is what you're going to look at when you go to your banking page. These are accounts that are attached to your bank, to your bank. Everything downloads into QuickBooks. So the bank does their thing, and then it all downloads into yours. Now, once it's downloaded, it doesn't mean you're done, because now you have to tell QuickBooks. QuickBooks is going, hey, I have all these transactions. What do I do with them? So you have to help QuickBooks know what to do with them. And there's several ways to do that. And it'll show you, always give you your bank balance and what your QuickBooks balance is. In a perfect world, these would be the same, but we don't live in a perfect world, so don't expect that to happen often. It happened on a rare occasion, it will happen, but don't freak out when you see this. It just means that the bank and QuickBooks is on a different day. That's all it means, so no big deal. So we have 25 transactions here, 1 here, and 7 here. Okay, so what we're going to do first, which is what I had done in the one I had open, I'm going to take these October transactions right here, and I'm going to accept them just as is so we can go forward. I'm going to go to my bank register. I'm going to go to Reconcile, and I know I'm going through this quickly, but I just want to get through it so we can. This is also something that'll walk you through it if that's what works for you. You've got how it works, connect now, different things. We're going to go ahead and get started, but I just want to do this real quick and get us caught up through the end of, here we go, here's my dollar back here. I want to get us caught up through October 31st so that I can show you how to process and balance a statement at the end of the month. So we're going to do that for the month of November. But I want to get October taken care of first. So,
así es que por eso quería terminar con lo que es octubre. Ponemos simplemente.
These little windows always pop up, so you will probably want to do this. Don't show me this again, because otherwise they're going to pop up each time, and frankly, it gets a little annoying. So you just want to turn those off. So if you like a bigger window here to be able to see, you touch that little button and you get a little more window. Don't show me that again. Thank you. Now we're going to do select all. See the bubble at the top? Yes, we want to select all. Now see, our difference is 0. We're balanced. So we're going to say finish. Ta-da! Okay, now that that's done, we can go back and actually start the lesson. So forgive me for breezing through that. But every time you open Test Drive, it's going to go back to the way it was the first time you opened it. Everything you do in Test Drive, the minute you close it, is gone. So that's why it's a wonderful place to to try things because you're not going to hurt anything. You know, you just close it, it's all gone. And I also want to say, in that same vein, even when you're in your QuickBooks, QuickBooks is very forgiving. If you do something wrong and that transaction isn't right, go hit delete and do it again. No big deal. There's nothing that can't be fixed. So don't be afraid of, oh, I can't do it because it might be wrong. If it's not what you want to, just delete it and try it again. It's that simple. So don't be afraid of it. Give it a try because it is a very forgiving program. So when you open your banking, this is what you're going to see. Something like this. And these are transactions. The bank says, hey, I have these transactions. Here they are, QuickBooks. Now we're going to talk to QuickBooks and tell them what to do with those bank transactions into QuickBooks. Because we have to tell QuickBooks what we want to do with them. Just because they're on this screen doesn't mean they're anywhere else. This is the only screen they're going to show on until you tell QuickBooks what to do with it. So this step right here is important. It will save you time and frustration and hair pulling later on if you take your time when you're doing this process. This is where people get themselves in trouble, and then they end up with bank accounts that are just, oh, a challenge to get right. Not that it can't be done, but it makes it challenging. So take your time when you're doing this. Think about what you're doing. Set up rules so certain things repeat. It'll automatically do it for you. And we're going to scroll down just a little bit. Now see these say match right here? Okay, that doesn't mean you just go match, 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 match. Because just because it says match, it doesn't mean it's right. Okay, so that's one thing that people get in trouble with. And the other thing they do is where it says add, they just go add, 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 add. Well, you haven't told it what to do. So QuickBooks is going to go, hey, I'm a pretty smart program. I'm going to do with this what I think should be done. Well, just because QuickBooks thinks it doesn't mean it's right. So you really want to take your time, and just because it says add or match, you need to take the time and make sure that it's what it's supposed to be. Because let's look at one of these, let's see. Let's look at this match. You can click on any portion of this and it'll open it up. So let's look at Hicks Hardware. There we go. Now look here. It's going to give you bank details. So this is, you know, when you get your bank statement, it says all that stuff at the bottom. That's where that's going to be. So you want to make sure that this matches this. You've already done it, so it knows who Hicks Hardware is. Okay, there's a match. Check number 75 written on the same day for the same amount. So we know we can match that transaction because this bank information is Hicks Hardware and it does match this check. So we know we can go match, and now that one disappears. Now let's try Travis and see what's going on with him. Okay, this one also has the check. It's the same date. It's the person, same dollar amount. Let's go back to QuickBooks. Now, what we're going to have to do, fortunately, I'm going to zip through here real quickly and do what I did before when we started. I'm going to take care of all those October transactions, out of our banking so that I can get on and show you how to process your transactions and how to reconcile a statement. But I need to go to our register. We're going to reconcile. Once we get rid of that, we're going to reconcile. We're going to put in our dollar amount, which was $37.5602. No, that's not a 3. 37. And then our date is 10/31/2020. And we'll go ahead and clear out those October invoices. And see, here's all these little windows again. So you have to tell it, don't show it again, just like we did before. Okay, and we're going to select them all. And God willing, it works, but it didn't. They're all selected. See, that's what I was afraid of. Now Quickbooks has updated something. So we're 180 off. That makes it 2. 180. So we're going to go back to the bank register. Now you guys really shouldn't be seeing this part because I'm just making it work so we can go on. So, oh, you know what? It's a little bit. Look at what I did. Okay, this is a really good thing. I'm glad I made this mistake because I'm going to show you. I can show you this. Okay, so this says 37.56. Huh, I flipped the numbers. It should be 35.76. So periodically I do that. I don't know that I have dyslexia. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I do flip the numbers from time to time. Well, that makes it 180 off. Now, if I go up here, see, just right there, easy. That's edit info. And look, all we have to do is change this. It should be 35.7602. So we're going to save it and make it correct. And look at that, that corrected it because I entered the wrong ending balance. So sometimes when you're doing your reconciliation, make sure you didn't flip the numbers or make sure this is correct, that the statement ending balance was entered correctly. Because sometimes you can go nuts and that's all it is. It's just you entered that number incorrectly. So if you don't balance, that's a great thing to check first. So we're going to do finish now. And yes, we're reconciled and we're done. Hallelujah. And now we're going to go back to banking. And we're going to talk about this because I believe that's where we were before I so rudely interrupted us. So there's our matches. We have one.
Ok, entonces aquí.
So it doesn't know what to put it with. Okay. So let's look and see what it tells us. Look, it has 2 different transactions. The bank says it's Pam. This says Pam and this says Books by Bessie. So Books by Bessie. Interesting. That's my grandmother's name. You don't see it often. Sorry, I digress. So we want to match this Pam with Pam. If we do it this way, it's going to leave this one hanging out there and it's not going to be accurate. So when you have 2 to choose from, open it up, look at it, make sure you check the right one, then match it. Okay. So now we looked at a lot of our matches and they're matching up pretty good. So what we're going to do, here's 1111. The bank, oh, no description from the bank. The bank didn't have anything, but we have a payment dated 11/20 for $50 from Twin Lane. So that's pulling that from our accounts receivable when we posted that. So it's pulling that. So we can assume, we can pretty much guess that that's okay. So look here, here's another one that has 2 records found. So what we want to do is, again, we want to look at that. Let's see, there's 3 chats here. Do I need to address this? Okay. Sue put in the chat, I'm going to interrupt there because I saw that pop up. And she says, I think it's true that if the digits add up to a number that is divisible by 3, the error is very likely transposition of digits. Like we just saw. 1 + 8 + 0 = 9. 9 is divisible by 3. Error is transposition of digits. She's exactly right. That's something that I had forgotten and hadn't thought about in a long time. So thank you for pointing that out. See, that'll be helpful for myself and for the other people on the webinar here. That is very true. And then Geneva, she says, how do you add more bank accounts? We have a checking and a savings, but only the checking is linked. So let me find a clean piece of paper and I'll write down add new account and we'll talk about that. And then I think there might be one other thing up above. Do I need? Oh, okay. All right. So those were two things that came up and I will get back to that add a new account. And I thank Sue for pointing out that divisible by 3. So that's a really handy little thing to know right there. So here again, we have 2 records found. So which one is it? This is squeaky clean car wash. Okay, but we have an 11 and a 14. Well, the 11 is the one that matches because this is dated the 11th. This is what the bank has. We have one on the 4th and one on the 11th. This is the one, so we want to match that. So there we go. Now the rest of them, I think we're pretty okay with doing our matches because they seem to be all coming up. When you're just starting, you want to verify all of them. After you've been doing it a while, you get more familiar with it. Then the matches you can look at briefly and move on. So we're going to go ahead and hit our matches. And what that does is taking it from this screen and it's actually putting it into your bookkeeping. Now, if you look at that vendor or that customer, you look at that checking account or credit card account, whatever you're on, it's going to show these transactions now because it's taken them from this, hey, here we are screen, to it actually puts them in your program. So we'll go ahead and match those. And I think we have a few. You could also go down here if you're so inclined and hit that. And then we can do accept and it'll do them all at once. So it's just whichever works best for you. Now we're left with these little ads. Okay. Now they don't have payees and they all say uncategorized income. Okay. Or expense. Well, your accountant is going to be very unhappy with you if you hand him a report at the end of the month, week, or year, and there's things in uncategorized anything. They don't like it. So that's something you want to watch. You don't want to use it unless you need to. And later when we look at the profit and loss, we'll look at some ways to clear out those accounts because the more you do and the less your accountant does, the less his bill will be. Because when the accountant starts getting in and doing stuff like this, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. They're expensive. They're good at what they do and they're necessary, but you don't want to give them extra work because it will cost you. So we have 7 transactions that we need to review. So we'll just go to the first one and you just go one by one. This is books by Bessie. So we're going to go ahead and categorize this book, but we don't want it in here. So what do you think books by Bessie would be in a landscaping company? That's a stretch. So I don't know. Do they have a miscellaneous? Let's look. Miscellaneous, but that's in other expense. We don't want to do that. That's like the uncategorized. They're not going to like it. So let's put books by Bessie. Let's put that in office expense. Maybe they had lay out books in the waiting room or something for people to look at. You know, maybe it's books that they give their prospective clients to show how things are done. So we're going to put that in office expense. It could maybe be advertising, you know, but we're going to go with office expense and add that right in there. Okay, our next one is a rental. So it's A1 rental backhoe. So this is we're renting a backhoe. So we're going to want to put our payee in, which is A1 rental. And oh, it's not in there, so we have to add it. And remember, we can add on the fly. We don't have to go to vendors, add new, do all that. We can just add on the fly. So we do add A1 rental. And I didn't do A1, did I? So let's go back and fix that. It should be a 1, not an exclamation point. So we will do A1 rental. Did it do it? Wants a valid entry. Okay, A1. There. And A1 rental is not a customer. They're not a customer. Let's see, we're rented. They would be a vendor. This is a deposit, so it's automatically coming up with customer. But just because it's a deposit does not necessarily mean it's a customer. We could be getting a refund from A1 rental. We paid for 2 days and we only used a day and a half. So now we're getting a refund on it. So this is important when you go to do things like 1099s at the end of the year, when you run certain reports. If this is not correct, it's going to skew your reports and you're going to wonder why it doesn't add up. This is generally why. So this is important to make sure you got, this would be a vendor. So we want to save that. And now we're going to go here. We don't want anything in uncategorized, remember. So do we have anything under rental? We have equipment rental. Look at that. So we're going to put it right there under equipment rental. And we're going to add that. Why is it? Oh, it's red because it doesn't like the spelling. Okay. So A1 rental again. See, now here's where we paid them. So see, that's important that you pay attention. So now when we put in A1 rental, it's going to pop right up. And again, this is equipment rental. So we'll put that in there, equipment rental. And we're going to add that. And we're going to go ahead and do the rest of these real quick. Again, this is, what does the bank say? A1 rental. Now see, we've done it before. So QuickBooks remembers, oh, hey, that was equipment rental. So it brought it up and populated that field for you. You've got to be careful because A1 rental might be rental and it might not. So you've got to be careful. It's not always going to repeat what it was the last time. Sometimes yes, but not always. So you want to watch that. That's another place people get in trouble with their categories. So we're going to add that. Here's more books by Bessie. And let's see, it says books by Bessie. So see, we don't want this to say Pam. But QuickBooks says, oh, hey, I think that's Pam. But it's not. So let's fix it. This is books. See if it brings it right up. And I think we decided that was office expense. So we're going to add that in there and add it to our account. We only have 2 more to go. And this is Mahoney mugs. Not sure what Mahoney mugs would be. This says down here Mahoney mugs. So what I would guess this would be advertising. Mugs with the company name on them, but it's only $18, so maybe not. So, and this would be one of the times where you might want to actually look at the receipt. What is Mahoney mugs? This might be a case where you might want to ask the person that wrote this check, hey, what is that for? So we'll leave it in office expense and call it good. We need to add that. We have 1 more. And this is Chin's gas. Well, look where QuickBooks thought it should be. Well, Chin's gas certainly would not be office expense. So what we're going to do is, because we buy gas from Chin's a lot, we're going to go up here and we're going to go to rules. There's rules there, and then there's right here, you can create a rule. Because we use Chin's gas and oil a lot, and it's for fuel. That's what we do. So we're going to create a rule for that. And we're going to put it up here. We're going to name it Chin's gas and money out of the checking. And we want to include all of the following. We want it to contain Chin's gas. So when it comes from the bank in the description, it says Chin's gas, then it's automatically going to expense it the way that we want. The thing you need to know about this is right here. Sometimes, you know, in the bank, it gives you that big long thing. If there's a date in there, see, then it's only going to match the rule to the one with that exact date. So you want to take that portion off because this pulls right from the bank. So you would just leave the name, not the date portion. And we certainly don't want it to be office expense. So let's see, let's do it this way. This is going to be fuel, I believe they call it. Old school, I still call it gas, but that's okay. It can be fuel too. So we're going to add that. And the payee, we can put in Chin So it will automatically pull up the right vendor, and we can save that and see it automatically took it. Now the next time Chins comes up, it's going to come up with it's a rule, and you can just click OK because you know it matched all those preset items. Now right here, I want you to note this says 1. Well, there's not one transaction down here to do. It says 1 for review. No, there's not. We finished it. Don't ask me why. I don't know, but it does that. So I'm glad it did it so I can show you. I don't know why it does it. So just know that as long as you've cleared this down here, your account is all set, you're good to go. Don't worry about this, it'll disappear. So right here, we're going to go to our savings account, and we have one record to, and they want to match it. So let's see what it says. It found one match. This is what QuickBooks has, that there's $1113, $200. The bank has $1113, $200. Well, we can match that. Okay, now we're going to go to our MasterCard, and we're going to match these. Now let's see. Okay, we have one record found here, matched it, 1118, 1897, Bob's Burger Joint. You do want to make sure there's a payee always, kind of like the memo field. Those are things that are going to show on reports that you're going to want later on. So the memo and the payee are kind of important. So we're going to match that. We've got 2 more matches. We're going to go ahead and grab those. The bank says 1113, 105. The bank says 117, 82. So we're good. Those 2 we can match. Now these say view because there's more than one. So which one is it? This is dated 1125 from the bank, and it's trying to match it to 1118. Well, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure it's the right one. So it would be in QuickBooks, we want to match it to the 1125 for 1999. We're going to match that transaction. So we're going to match that. Now that we know we have the right one. Now it left one to be matched, and that's the 1118. So that matches to the correct transaction. Now we have 2 adds. Okay. Now, again, like we did a little bit ago, this is Amazon. And I think Amazon is giving us a refund because Amazon is not a customer. They're not going to pay us. We don't sell anything on Amazon, so they're not going to send us any money. So this has got to be for a refund of something we purchased. So now we may not have entered the purchase yet because I believe if we enter Amazon, it's not there. It wants us to add. So we have to add. And again, we need to be careful of the type. And this is going to be a vendor, not a customer. So we're going to save that. Now we don't want anything in uncategorized. So Amazon, let's see, what are we going to put that in? Let's put it in office expense. We bought paper. Put in office expense, and the box was crushed and the paper was torn. So we had to turn it in. So that's what that is for. So we're going to go ahead and hit add for that. And now I just saw, as I clicked out of there, and I saw something that I didn't pay enough attention to. So I'm going to take the time. Let's go back and look at that. These are the ones that were categorized right here. Let's go back and find that one for Amazon. Look right here. Okay, we're going to undo that because I saw something that was wrong. Okay, so I'm going to hit undo, and look, it takes it out of categorized and it adds it back. For review. There we go. See, it added it right back. So let's look. What did I not see? Do you guys see it? Do you see? Okay, now I'm telling you to do something and I didn't do it. Pay attention. What does that say right there? It's just software. So see, I didn't have to guess that it was paper or anything else. It told me right there. So That's how important it is to stop and pay attention to all the little details. It makes a difference. This part of the process, it will save you time and energy later when you're doing things if you take your time with this. And that's a prime example of what not to do. So let's make this, there's our Amazons there. And we are going to make an office expense, but we don't have to guess anymore. It's software. So we can put down here in the memo that that's software that was returned. So now we don't have any question about what that is. And nobody had to guess, because really you don't want to guess. So let's add that. Now, Amazon always office expense. Do we want to create that rule? No. I don't think I want to create a rule for Amazon, because Amazon can be, what, about 912 million different things. So we don't want every time Amazon comes up for it to think, ooh, office expense. Okay, so that's not a time when you would use that rule. So we don't want to edit a rule. We don't want to create a rule. So we're just going to X right out of that. Not needed for this one. So now we have Lara's lamination. Well, let's see. The bank, oh, look at there. The bank again gave us a nice little detail. So Lara's lamination is business cards. So see, there, answered it for us. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But so we're going to put Lara up here. Let's see, oh, Lara's not in there. So we'll put in Lara's lamination. We'll add that. There we go. And it is a vendor, so we'll save that. Uncategorized, remember that's a no-no. So Lara's lamination, okay. This could be open for interpretation, 2 and 2 is 4, 1 and 3 is 4. As long as you get 4, right? Okay, in my mind, this is advertising. Because if you're doing business cards, that's advertising. So one of the things you want to ask yourself is, how much detail do you want on your categories? To me, advertising is one that you want to break down, because how much did you spend on a radio ad? How much did you spend on print, like your business cards? What about the coupon flyers that you put out? What else could you do for advertising? You have Facebook advertising. You used to have yellow page advertising. I guess that's transferred now to online advertising. But to me, that's advertising is one of the things you want to break down. It just makes sense. So we're going to go in here and we want this to be print advertising. Well, look at there. That's not there. So let's add it. This is our categories, and this we add on the fly. Well, it's not a bank account. So let's go down here and find expense. That's where this one would come in. And it is advertising and promotion. We lucked out. It's the first in the list. It's not that smart, but it's advertising and promotion. Now, what we want to do is we want to put our print advertising under our advertising category, so that when it prints, we'll have advertising, then it'll say print advertising, it'll say radio advertising, it'll say Facebook advertising, whatever your advertising budget is. So do you know at the end of the day, week, month, year, how much did you pay Facebook? How much did you pay Lara's laminating for business cards? And what business did you get from those? So that's a great way to track that expense, and you'll know which one is paying off and what you're spending your money on. So we're going to save that. Now it's all ready to go, and we go add. So there we go. Now see, this one still shows. I don't know. I can't explain it. It just does it. So now what we're going to do is, I had a question about a new account. So before we move on, let's see if we can answer that question about a new account. So a new account is simple to do. First thing I want to do when I see something like this is there's a checking, a savings, and a MasterCard. Well, that's what you have today. Now, next month, next year, you might have a second checking account. Maybe you've got another credit card. And how are you going to know what's what? So what I like to do is you go to your chart of accounts. And yes, we want to see them. And you can sort by type or just type in what you want. We want the checking account. Now, what I would do for this, and this is just a personal thing, you can do with it what you will, but this is my reasoning. I'm going to edit that, and I'm going to change that to Wells Fargo checking, and the last 4 digits of that account are 7889. See. And now I'm going to go to my savings account. Now I'm not pushing Wells Fargo, so don't take it that way. I prefer a local bank. That's just what popped in my head. So we're going to do the same thing with our savings account. We're going to edit that. We also have our savings account is at Wells Fargo, and this is the savings, and it ends in, oh, that's not how you spell savings, is it? Savings, and it ends in 1234. Last 4 digits of the account. Okay, so we're going to save that. Now we're going to go down here. Look here, it says MasterCard. And if you can't find it, there's a long list. Just type it in. It'll just pull it up for you. Easy peasy. So we're going to go over here. We're going to edit this one. Same thing. This is a Chase MasterCard ending in 5678. Now we save that. Now what happens when we go to our banking is, look, there's no question about what is what. You know exactly what it is. So that's the way I like to do it. I'm big on, I want to look at a glance and see it. I don't want to have to research something every time I look at it. So anything that can make something more user-friendly and you know what it is as a glance in my book is a good thing. So that's one of the ways I do that. Now, if you're starting a new account, you want to go back to your chart of accounts and you're going to do new. Remember these little buttons up here that are your best friend? Well, here it is again. So we're going to do new. It is a bank. So we're going to keep it there. It's not cash on hand. It's another checking account. Now, what's this one? We went from Wells Fargo. Maybe it's another Wells Fargo. Maybe it's a Bank of the Sierra. If you don't bank at Bank of the Sierra, I suggest you give it a try, just a personal recommendation. So this is Bank of the Sierra checking, and this is 9991. You can also do BOS, Bank of Sierra. So however you want to do it, it can be as long or as short as you want, something that you're going to know what it is. So now you go over here and you do save. So now there's that. Now, if you go back to your banking, let's go back over here to our banking, link account. Remember these buttons that are our new best friend? Okay. So link account, we want to link a new account. Now it's not going to let us do this because it is a test drive company. But basically, what's going to happen, put in the name of your bank. That was a Bank of the Sierra, right there, right there. So you would have to start a free trial to do this. And obviously, we don't want to do that today. But it's really simple. It'll ask you to select which account it is. So it'll give you a list of all the bank accounts that are there. We created it, so you select the correct one. The one we just started, and then you're going to have to put in your banking login and password, and it's going to do its thing, talk back and forth, depending on which bank it is. Sometimes they will ask you, do you want to download all transactions? Do you want to download from a certain date? Some of them, if you're just getting started, you've been in business for a while, it'll only download the last 6 months. Sometimes if it's a credit union, it can get a little tricky and you might have to call your credit union and say, hey, can I talk to the tech department for QuickBooks Online? And generally they're real friendly and they'll help you, walk you through a couple extra steps to make that work with a credit union. But basically that's how you would start your link a new account. So it's just right here. You just want to make sure to create the account first so it knows what QuickBooks and the bank will put it together correctly. So that's how you would do a new account. Let's see, do we have any more questions before we go on? I see a number here. Let's see what it says. Okay. Okay, so Sue is asking to explain vendor fees versus customer. Would vendor include a consultant, accountant, other service that you paid for? Okay, when I'm saying vendor and customer, a customer or client, you can actually change that name to whatever works for you. But those are people that you're billing, that you're billing your services to, or you're selling your products to. Those are your customers or your clients. Okay, so they're going to be giving you money. Okay, so that's accounts receivable because you're receiving something. So that would be your customers. When I say vendor, that's anybody you pay money to. That's your accounts payable because you're paying that person. So it's accounts payable versus accounts receivable. So accounts receivable is your customers, people that are going to be giving you money. Okay, your vendors are the people, the accounts payable, which are people you're going to pay. So you paid, what was it, Pam, somebody for accounting, or you paid Chin's Gas. Those are vendors. So yes, it can be any type of vendor. It could be, yes, a consultant, an accountant, or whatever service it is you paid for. It's your PG&E, it's your phone, it's your liability insurance, it's anybody that you pay, they're a vendor. And at the end of the year, vendors that are paid over $600 or more that are not a corporation and they provided a service, you have to give them a 1099. So that's one of the times when that can really get you in trouble, as you're trying to figure it out. Well, you've got them labeled wrong, so they're not going to come up in your lists. So that's one of the reasons why that's important. So I hope that answers those two questions about starting a new account and about vendor versus customer. Absolutely great questions. I love questions, so please ask away. I'll do my best to see if I can't answer them. So, okay, so let's see. Now that we've done that, where are we now? Okay, let's see. I think, okay, so we've done all of that. Okay, now we're going to talk about reconciling a bank account. Okay, this just kind of depends on your business, whether it's something you do or you don't do. I say this and some of the young people go, "You're doing what?" You know, because it is a little bit old school. It's something that's for larger companies. Larger companies always reconcile. When you're just a small side hustle or you're just beginning, that may be not something you do every month, but you do want to watch it. And basically what it means to reconcile, okay, you're reconciling that the bank thinks you have $500 and QuickBooks knows I have $500. They match. So you don't all of a sudden go to write a check and QuickBooks says you have 500, but the bank says you have 25. So you go to write a check and it's not going to go through. So that's why you want to reconcile, because you want your bank and your QuickBooks to be the same. So when you think you've got 500 to spend, you've actually got 500 to spend. So to reconcile, this can get confusing for some people, but it's like I said earlier. Don't stress out over it. Do exit, don't save, go have a cup of coffee, pet the cat, go for a run, whatever it happens to be, hug a grandbaby, and come back to it. Okay, so don't stress out over it. If it didn't work, just cancel it and try it again in a little while. Okay, so just remember that, because this can be challenging for some people, and they get stressed out about it, and they do that. They make a mountain out of a molehill. Okay, so take a deep breath and just know you can do it later. And if all else fails, call me. I'll see if I can help you. So here we go. Here's our banking. We've got all our transactions processed. OCR 1 disappeared. Imagine that. Why now? Who knows? But they're all batched. So we're going to balance our checking account. So we're going to go to the register, and we don't need this. Okay. So we're going to balance. So we're going to hit reconcile, balance, reconcile, same difference. Balance, I guess, is a little bit more of the old school term. We would balance the bank statement. Reconcile. It's exactly the same thing. You're matching bank to QuickBooks. That's the same thing. So we're going to reconcile. And we have a bank statement for November. And our November bank statement balance was $252.17. Now we're balancing through the end of November. So we want to put that in. And this is important because the date you put there affects what things come up in your reconcile report. So we're going to start reconciling. And look at there, that's a great big number. And your heart might go, oh, it's off $1,500. No, it's not. Take a deep breath. It's okay. It's always going to have some weird number up there. Don't ask me why. It just does. Okay. Part of that is because see how these are automatically checked and these are not? That's because some of them were matched from the bank transactions that were downloaded, and some of them were entered because you entered them. For some reason, they didn't come through on the bank transaction, which happens at times. So that's why. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to select all. And yes, we want to select all. And what you would do is now you're going to unselect. Now nothing, no payments, no deposits. Okay. And you're going to line by line match to, if it's on the check, if it's on the bank statement, you click it here. If it's on the bank statement, you click it here. Okay. In a perfect world, which we don't always live in, if you select all of them, sometimes you luck out and get a 0. So it's always worth a shot, but it's not always going to happen. But after going through line by line by line, what we discovered, I'm not going to take you through line by line, but the 666, the 4698, 6315, and 2350, and we're still off 70, and the $75, those are still outstanding. So those are in our QuickBooks, but they're not on our bank statement. So we can't match them because to put the check mark and to match it, it has to be on the bank statement and in QuickBooks. That's what you're doing, is matching. Okay. Those 5 transactions are what's called outstanding. Means that they're in your QuickBooks, but they're outstanding because they have not went through the bank yet. So, you know, it might be that credit card payment you sent to across the country in New Jersey somewhere, and it takes a while to process. It might be it's lost. If you do online banking, sometimes that takes a long time to process. So when you get the bank statement, there's going to be things that have went through the bank that are in your QuickBooks, and there's going to be things that aren't. So the ones that aren't are outstanding. So we know those 5 things have not went through the bank. So they're outstanding. So look at that. Now we got our beautiful 0, because that's what you want. You want it to a 0 difference. Okay, now this screen gives you a lot of information. Okay, this is your statement ending balance. You want to make sure that's right. This gives you the beginning balance. So this should also be on your statement. These 2 numbers here will also be on your statement somewhere. And when you have this lovely 0, these numbers should match, because this is your total deposit, this is your total payments. So those will show on your statement. So if you're off, say we forgot to check that one. Well, we can look at our bank statement. Is this number right? Is this number right? Oh, look, this doesn't match what's on our statement. So we know we missed something. So this is the number that's on our statement. You can also sort this list if you're looking for something. You can sort it by date. You can sort it by payee. You can sort it by amount. So there's lots of different things. And that, if you remember, is generic through the program, is you can sort your columns. So it makes it very user-friendly. You can show just your payments or just your deposits. So whatever you need to do to help you balance. And remember I said if it doesn't balance, look right up here. Close without saving. If it doesn't work and you can't get to that 0 that you want, and you just can't look at it anymore, just close without saving and come back to it. Or you can do save for later and you can come back and look at it. So you have both of those options. You're not tied to this. So don't let it stress you out. Once you do it a few times, you'll get the hang of it. And if you need a little help, give me a call. Don't mind a quick call or email anytime, because this is something that people struggle with. So don't hesitate to call and see if I can't talk you through it. So we're going to do finish now because we have our beautiful zero there. We're going to do finish now. Ta-da! It's all done. So that's balancing. That's how we balance our checking, our banking. So what I want to talk about now is, because today was about the banking and reports. Okay, so we're going to go on to reports, and I want to, okay, we are going to talk about journal entries a little bit. Journal entries are not really a beginner type transaction. So that's usually things for depreciation, moving, notes payable, interest, things you do more just once a year. Now, larger companies probably do them more often, but most small companies do it once a year. And it's going to be information that you get from your accountant. So I don't know that journal entries are something that you really want to mess with. They are easy to delete if you do it wrong, because you have to know your debits and credits so you know which way you want the credit or the transaction to go. So I don't know that I'd jump into journal entries right away. If you're more advanced, then yes. But I don't know that I'm going to go into a lot of it here because I think I would confuse the beginners. It confuses some of the advanced, let's just say it. Okay, so if you want to do a journal entry, it's right here. Your handy dandy new button, which we love. Right over here is a journal entry. Let's see if it'll go to it. It should. See, and you want to put your date. You want to put why. It says journal number. I'd rather have a date and a why I did it. So I'll usually put something like year end, and this is 2020, and this is from the account. It's not going to let me finish because there's a limitation on space, but I would do something like that. I want to know where I got this information and why I'm doing it, because it's not something I do every day. It's so when I look at it 6 months from now, I want to know why I did it, so I know where to look for backup. And you put your account, which is your category, notes payable, and you want to take the interest off of the loan because you want the notes payable to just be the notes payable balance, not the interest doesn't come off the balance. So you would adjust that. So it's just that type of thing. I'm not going to save that. We'll go ahead and leave without saving. Yes. So that would be journal entries. If you guys have questions about it, I'll do my best to answer it. But that's kind of a general overview of what journal entries are and when and how you would use them. Like I said, for most small businesses, it's not something you're ever going to mess with. So that's all I'm going to talk about it for today, unless you guys have questions. So I will go on to reports. Now, QuickBooks has great reports. You can customize them. You can change what fields show in the reports. You can change what date they are. You can change lots of different things. If you don't like it, close it and do another one. It's that easy. I want to show you from your banking. This is really handy. Okay, that to disappear. Maybe, there we go. Okay, so right up here, there's a funnel. And what that is that's a filter. And anytime you see this, it means you can filter this information that's showing here. So if you want to filter it, you can do it by amount. You can just have it pull up a certain amount. We'll put in $800 because I see it right there. And we'll do apply. It'll pull up any transaction that's that dollar amount. If you don't want that anymore, you just X off of that you can pull up things that are not cleared or have no status. Cleared is you took them from the bank, but you haven't balanced it. You haven't done the reconciliation yet. So if you hit cleared, it'll pull up everything that has a C. So this will help you filter and look for things. You can also do it by payee. What was it? Chin is the gas. See, now if we apply that, it's all chin transactions. So now it's not going to show you the balance because obviously it doesn't have everything in there. So it won't give you a running balance, but it will give you all the transactions. And you can also do that in connection with a date. So you want to know how much gas, how many times you paid them in November, we'll put in November. See, so we put in chin and a date. See, now so we paid them 4 times in November. So if this is just really handy, really great way to use this register and to use this filter. It will do great things. One thing I will say, let's reset it. So all that's back. If you want to do transaction type, that can get a little tricky because you can only pick one. You can't pick all the things that are going to take out the checks, the expense, the credit card expense. So if you pick one of these, it's just that one thing. So if you're looking for a payment, it can get kind of tricky because you might have how many different ways you have to pay somebody. So it can get a little tricky doing it this way. It is user friendly, but it does very limit what comes out. Okay, what kind of a register you're going to look at when you do that. So it's a great feature. So let's think we want to do all, and this is our checking account ending in 7889, and we're going to go back to November. Okay, and we're going to print everything all. We didn't put an amount, we didn't put a payee. We're not going to limit it by type or status. We don't need we put in our custom date. Now this is everything for the month of November. Okay. Now, if you remember right, we're talking about reports. You might wonder, what is she talking about? And this is what I'll show you. See that little print button right there? Ta-da! Ta-da! Now you have a report. Okay, now you can't customize it as much as you can if you go to reports, but is it a wonderful, quick way to get a report that you need? So you can change the color, you can change print or landscape, just depends on whichever you like. So we'll do that, and we don't need it, so we will close it. The other thing you can do is see this button here, export to QuickBooks or Excel. Export to Excel. Export to Excel. So that will go right into an Excel spreadsheet, and you can manipulate it and do whatever you need to do with it for your purposes. So I know a lot of people who use this feature for different things. So that's one way to have another type of report. The other thing you can do is see this handy dandy little gear right here. This lets you customize what you see on the screen, therefore customizing what the report looks like. So now see, I always want you to put in a payee, and I always, if there's anything you need to know, put it in memo, because those two things are going to print on reports and help you down the road. So if we press our gear here, we don't have anything in memo, so we'll go ahead and take that out for this one. For what we're doing right now, we don't need to know if it's been reconciled or cleared, so we'll take that off. We don't need that. And we want the running balance. You can leave it. So let's see, now our screen looks different. Look. And the other thing you can do is you can change the size of the columns. If you find you don't have enough room here for you just change it. Now you got to be careful because it bumps that over and you might lose something over there. But you can also make it smaller if you don't have enough room. Okay. So you can also, let's see, can we do it on this one? Oh, we can do show in one line, which is, I prefer this view personally, and it will print the reports differently because it's just a cleaner report because it's all online. And on some of them, you can include columns. You can change the order of your columns. In this one, you can't, but in some you can. So now, if we go to print report, see now, look at our report. We can. This is all of our Wells Fargo 78889 banking, and it usually gives a date. So I'm surprised there's not a date up there, but you can see what date it is. But see, we've got it printed from the 27th down to the 1st. So in my mind, our dates are backwards. So we go, oh, you know, that's not what I wanted. So let's close both of those. And now let's just flip this column. See, now it's going to come up in the 1st. Now, I didn't need everything that was on that report. So let's see, can we take anything off? Let's see. No, it doesn't look like we can take a lot off of there, just the running balance. So we're going to go ahead and do print report. Now look, now we've got our dates in order. We know how we paid them. We know who we paid. We know what account it went into, so we can refer to what this is and see if we end up with chins. Look, chins, some of it went under auto repair and some of it went under fuel. So we can print that. You can also do it, let's close it again. We can sort it by payee. Sometimes that is helpful. Now, why Freeman's is before A1, I don't know. Unless there's, like, I thought maybe there was a space in front of it. Sometimes it'll do weird things like that. Let's see. We'll go ahead and print report. And then you can see it'll have it by payee, by your vendor, who you paid. So those are quick, easy things we can do to run reports, and you can do it for whatever account you want to do it for. You can do it with as many filters as you want or as few filters as you want. And we can do that in the banking. We can go to expenses and go to vendors. And we can do the same things. You've got the same buttons here. So we want it, to me, it makes sense. Your vendors are by name. Unless you're doing what you owe, then you could do it by balance. But in our gear, again, we're going to have, oops, we're going to have gear or phone and email. And we don't want to include inactive accounts. We don't need that. We don't want the address or the attachments right now. So that works fine for us. So we'll, okay. Do that. So we'll go back one. So here's our list. Now what happens when we print? Now here is a wonderful, quick and easy, at your fingertips report. There's all your vendors, and there's their phone number, and there's their email. So it's a quick report, and it gives you just what you need if you need to make phone calls. There's some that have the wrong, you know, you got a new address, and so you need to make sure they all change it. There they all, right there in one spot. So it's really handy feature, and just very quick and easy. You can do the same thing. We're on vendors. You can do the same thing with expenses. Any of the report pages that come up and look like this are going to have these three buttons, and they're going to do the exact same thing. So this is really handy to use. Again, we can do by payee. It doesn't sort by category. Oh, it is. Oh, they must have updated that finally. So this is really nice to use. Okay, your categories are expensive. You can go, oh, look, these are both advertising. That's Lee's advertising, Lara's lamination. So you know that's correct. It's a quick way to review who's in automotive. Is that where it's supposed to be? So that is a really good feature, because if you need to change it, you don't have to click into the transaction. You can just do it right here. We're going to make that bank charges. So now see, go down here to bank charges. See, look, it changed it. You don't have to click into the actual transaction. You can correct it on the fly. which is a wonderful feature that can be very time saving. So you can do your filter, just do for the month, and then you can review everything for that month before you go on. So it's really a great feature. So anytime you have this kind of a register you're looking at, you can use these 3 buttons to make changes. It just prints it right up. And you can put in it what you need, what you don't need. So that it doesn't matter. That's vendors and expenses. You can do the same thing with your sales. Your customers, you can print your customer list. Same thing. You can, each one of these is a little bit different. You can add what you want and what you don't need. So, and then you can also here, you can do it on invoices, people that you've invoiced, and you can get a wonderful report on, see, all status. We want last month. We want November. So, okay, see, it wants us to do these little things because it's telling us how to use it. So now this one, unfortunately, it's not showing me the button, only the gear. So that's a little disappointing that on this one, we can't print the report. And there are the different levels of QuickBooks. So depending on what level you have, different things are going to be available. So on some, you do get the print from that area. So, but it still is just a wonderful way to get a quick report. So that's one way to do your reports. You also have a handy button over here that says reports. Imagine that. And these reports are wonderful. You mark the little star so they'll jump up here in your favorites. So the ones that you use all the time will be easy to find because they're right there on top. You can customize your reports. You can have reports set to run at, like, you know, on the 2nd of every month, it will run a profit and loss. It'll run a, you know, report by salesman, who did the most sales. You know, any kind of report that you might need once a month, or maybe the powers that be you need, it'll automatically run the report and email it. How much easier than that can you get? It's not something you're going to need when you're starting out or you're a small business, but it is something that it will do. You've got your categories of your reports here. This is your business overview. You're going to use the balance sheet and the profit and loss. There's a whole bunch of other things here. Most people don't need them. If you're more getting closer to the mid-sized business, or you've been in business for a while and you're one of the bigger small businesses, then you can start using some of these things. But for beginners, profit and loss and balance sheet. That'll get you covered. Your accountant will be real happy at the end of the year if you pay attention to those. These right here, this is who owes you money, so it's your accounts receivable. And it just depends on what you want. Do you want an invoice list? Do you want terms? Do you want invoices and payments received? Do you want to know who needs a statement? Those things are all, there's a collection report you can run. There's so many different things. So as of the 9th, these are the people who owed you money. This is a report I personally would use that if I'm tracking all those contracts that pay off in 3, 6, 9 months a year, this would be a way to keep your notes. You once a month, you print this, you look at the last one and go, okay, Bill's windsurf shop said to call back in 60 days. So that was 30 days ago. So now I know on this date next month, I need to call. That way you can keep your notes on all those crazy different things that contract. I like this report for it because it gives you a bigger space to write next to their name and make your notes. So that was one way I would use this report. Okay, you have your gear. So you can put, oh, show more, look at that. Now, when you're in your reports and you do your gear, look at the options that you have. You can customize that to add or take away anything that you want. So you would just go through and go, okay, yeah, the date would be nice. It's a collection. Transaction type, I don't care if it's, I don't need to know it's an invoice. Invoice number is good because we might need that. The due date, I don't need that. Past due, we'll leave that. The amount, we'll leave that, and the open balance. So let's see what that changes on our report. Now see, that's a cleaner report. And we have what we need. This date, this invoice number for this amount. So when we call them, we can print this report to have it in front of us. And I'm big on date, time, and who you talk to. That's the first things you write down. So we could write, and we're going to call Amy. She goes, but what is that for? I don't know what it's for. I didn't, why was it $459? Well, if you have this on the screen and you have one on your desk, you can write on the one on your desk, and then this one on the screen, you can do this. Ta-da! There's the invoice. So it just makes it really, really user-friendly. You can tell, hey, you got 2 cubic bags of soil and you got a rock fountain. Oh, she says, and then she's going to pay the rest of it. And then when you close this, you're right back to your report. You make your notes on the report that you printed that, oh, she remembers she's going to send a check in a week. So you remember that. So you can use this report in that way. Any of the reports, I may not have showed you, so forgive me for that. Any of the reports that you have, when there's a line item, click on that line item and it's going to bring you up to the transaction. So that's a really quick way. And then when you close it, you go right back to your report. So that's our collection report. The reports go on and on and on. That's who owes you. You can do the same thing. This is your customers, more specific. You can do their income summary. You can do the what sales or products did they use. This is who owes you, or excuse me, who you owe. So this is all for your vendors and your accounts payable. Again, your expenses and your vendors. We have another section there. We have our sales tax. We have employees, and then things for your accountant. So their reports are just endless. All of them are going to have, you can email that report to somebody, which is very handy once you've got exactly what you want. You can print it, you can send it to an Excel, and you can modify it. And this is where you can reorder your columns. So that's kind of a base on reports. I could go on and on and on because there's a lot of reports in there. I don't know that a lot of them are going to be used right away. They're more for as you advance. And as I said in the beginning, I think the reports that you need to know and that are very important are these two right here, your profit and loss and your balance sheet. So your profit and loss, it's exactly what it says. It's going to show you your profit and your loss, depending on which it is. So it's a really good way to track what's happening with your cash flow. Are you making money? Are you not making money? You know, I thought I should have 500 in my account, but I don't. Where did it go? Well, this is a quick way for you to find out. So when you do reports, they're going to come up like that. Always scroll up. Because if you don't know that's there, you're probably not going to notice this over here and you think, well, I need a different date. How do I do it? Well, it always opens like this. I don't know. Don't ask me why. But scroll up and then you can change all these things. You always want to change to cash because I really feel most small businesses are not going to be accrual. So that's automatic. Just switch it to cash. And then we're going to go back to our November. We've been working on November. So let's see, after we've been diligent with posting everything, with making sure our categories are correct, let's see how our November turned out. So we changed our date. We've got cash and we're going to do run report. Ta-da, there it is. We have a profit and loss for the month of November. Now, you scroll right down to the bottom. Uh-oh, that's a negative number. See that minus in the front of there? Lost $2,755.27 for the month of November. Not good. So now this is a good way for you to figure out why. Excuse me. So You want to get familiar with your profit and loss. You want to know what it is. Okay. So the first section is going to be your income. Okay. There's your gross profit. So that's all your income. So you've got design, you've got discounts given, you've got landscaping services, you have your materials, you have your pest control, sale of product income, services. These all come from when you make your products and services to begin with. So that's why doing that and putting some time and effort into it is important, because you want this to really reflect what types of income you have. So you know those plants and soils, we did good on those. Now, the cost of goods sold, a lot of people aren't going to use this, but what it is if you sold a sprinkler, well, you had to buy it. So that's the cost of the goods sold. So you would have the sale versus the cost. So most people won't use this, and that'd be when you first do your products and services. But so this right here is gross. So for the month of November, there was income of $3,652.63. Well, that sounds fantastic. But as we know, it didn't end up that way. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the expenses. So we have advertising, we have automobile. Now I want to note here, and this is something that I like to change, okay? This is a subcategory of automobile. Well, if you have subcategories, there should be nothing in this in the main category. So like I said, we can click on that. And what is it? Oh, it's squeaky clean. Well, squeaky clean, I think, should be a separate category. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this. And this is just as easy as it is to fix. So we're going to put right here, this is truck wash. Because we want to know, okay, it's an expense. It is a maintenance type expense. We're going to go down here and grab repair and maintenance. And it's truck wash, but we're going to make it a subcategory of automotive. Okay. Now watch what happens. Change that. We're going to save and close. Yes. We want to save it. Now look. Now it dropped it down here. It made our subcategory of truck wash, and it took it off of here. So what we're going to do real quick is I'm going to go ahead and change the other three. Now our truck wash is already in there. So it's quick, close. Yes, we want to save it. And we're going to do the next one. It's just that simple to make that adjustment. And I'll show you why I like to do this. And in my mind, it makes a cleaner report. And anything you can do to make it cleaner in the end is going to be better for you, because trust me, even you really sweet young people, in 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years from now, are you going to remember what that was? No. So the memo and the payee and the way you break it down in category, it doesn't matter if you don't remember, because it's going to exactly tell you. So I started off and I thought, oh, I'll remember that. No, you don't. No, you don't. I worked there for 30 years. You don't remember, trust me. So we're going to go to truck wash and add that last one in there. We're going to close it. Oh, now look at there. Now under automotive, there's nothing there, but we have so much in fuel and so much in truck wash. So now if we go up here and go back to report summary, now look how that changes it. Now we have automotive and there's nothing on this line, but we know we have fuel and we have truck wash. Now we know exactly what that is, and there's no question about it. It's not, well, what is this? Why is it up here? It's kind of like using a miscellaneous, and most accountants don't want you to do that. And this just makes a much cleaner report. You could have under here repairs, automotive, and then have repairs. You could have your automotive insurance under there, so that you know that puts all your automotive expenses in one spot. So at a glance, you know exactly what it is. So that's one thing that I like to do when I look at this. Okay, let's see what else we got under our expenses. There's our rental. Now see, we have it again, job expense and equipment rental. So there shouldn't be under this anything because this is the main one. So see, look here, job materials is the main heading. These are the subcategories. We'll see there's nothing on that line. Well, here for job expenses, there is. So let's look and see what that $48 is. Well, that's nursery. So that would be under, let's go into that transaction and let's change it from job expense to materials, because look, plants and soil. This is the nursery, so that would be plants and soil. So we're going to change that. We're going to take it out of job expense. We're going to put it in the nursery where it should be. So now we go back to our report. And if we go see now, job expenses doesn't have anything. It's all here under the job material as it should be. So that's what that is. So let's see, what else do we have? We have legal and professional. Now, legal and professional, that goes back to the 1099s that you need. And it's a category that if you keep it clean, it's going to help you so much at the end of the year when you do your 1099s. If that's something that you do, most small businesses won't, but some do. So I would go here because that's the heading. And I want to see what that is. Let's break that down. Why is there $75 there? This is Pam. And if we remember correctly, Pam is accounting because it says CPA in her, so we want to change this, take it from legal and professional. And if I remember correctly, look here, right underneath it there is accounting. So we're going to put that right in there. Now, when we go back to our report, let's see what it does. Legal, and see now it moved everything out of here. But we have, this is what we spend on legal, on accounting, and this is what we spend on lawyers. So you could put other things in there, contract labor, let's see, landscaping. It could be you paid somebody to design something, so it could be subcontract or contract labor. You can put lots of different things in there. Maybe somebody installs alarms when somebody wants an alarm along with their landscaping. They want an alarm on the fence, make sure nobody gets in there. So that person could be paid under there. You can put alarm installation, and you know it's illegal. It's a professional service that you paid someone for, because that's what your 1099s are. It's when you pay someone for a service. So that's a little cleaner now. We know exactly what that is. Let's see, we've got utilities under here. We've got gas and telephone. You would put your alarm under here. That's something you did. Now, right here are total expenses. Net operating income is a negative, darn it. Now we have here other expenses, miscellaneous. Now, the first thing the accountant's going to do is call and ask you what that is. So it's something you want to watch, and you don't want to leave anything there. So let's look at what it is. We have, oh, here's insurance. So we don't need that in a miscellaneous. We know it's insurance. So let's fix that. Okay, so we're going to go down here. What categories do we have for insurance? We only have workman's comp. Well, I would imagine this is probably a liability insurance. So what we're going to do, we're going to put liability insurance, and liability is spelt wrong, so we'll fix that. And we're going to add it. Okay, it's an expense. It is insurance, and we're going to put it under the subcategory of insurance. Okay, we're going to make it a sub of that. Okay, so we're going to save that, and now that's in liability, and you're going to save and close that. Now let's go back. It's going to take us back here. Let's go back to our report. Back to our report. Now look, this other expense miscellaneous, that 2,000 is gone. But if we go up here and we look at insurance, we have liability insurance. So now we know exactly what that is, and it's under insurance where it should be. Okay, now let's see what this 666 is, which is a number that we don't like. Okay, so this is Tim Phillips Masonry. So I'm going to, I know when we pay Tim that it's contract labor. He does the masonry work. He lays the brick. So this is contract labor. So we can put it under professional services. Let's see, do they have anything? Oh, there's no contract services. Is there a sublet service? No sublet. Oh, sublet has an L in it. Sublet service, nope. So we're going to put this under contract labor. And we're going to add that. It's an expense. It is, we're going to put it under cost of labor because we don't have any employees. So we're going to put it under cost as contract labor, and we're going to put it under the legal and professional services because he provided a service. Okay, so now we save that, and look what happens. Go back to our report. Now, there's no miscellaneous or other expense here, correct? But if we go up here to legal and professional, look under contract labor, there's that $666. So this is the report that you really want to get to know. This is what's going to save you time and trouble at the end of the year when you want to do your taxes, when you want to apply for a loan. They're all going to want your profit and loss in your balance sheet. So the more you stay on top of this, the better off you'll be later on. If you take the time to put your banking and do that, import it correctly. If you take that time, it's going to make this easier. Keeping watch on this is going to make it easier again when it comes time for bank loans or taxes. The other report you want to watch is, go back to reports. The other one you want to watch is your balance sheet. And this is your assets and your liabilities. Okay, so it shows us something a little bit different. You always want to check and make sure that as of this date, which we can go up here and we'll make it our November again, 11/01 and 11/30, and we want it cash. We're going to run the report. This, you want to make sure on this date that matches what the bank said. So you want to make sure about that. This undeposited funds, oh no. What is that? Let's look. Go all the way down here to the bottom. Fresno Sportsman, it's in undeposited funds. Well, why is that? So let's look at it. This is, where's our undeposited funds? Goes into undeposited funds. Did I click on the wrong one? I think I did, yeah. That's the 387. So undeposited funds, okay, I'll show you what it is and we won't go too far into that, but this is where you received a payment and it's not going directly to the bank. Say you got 5 checks that day, lucky you, and you're gonna take them to the bank tomorrow or next week, but you wanna post them. So you post them all, and you don't post them, they're not going directly to the bank account, they're going in the drawer and you're gonna take them all at once. So you don't wanna put them in a checking account, you wanna put them in undeposited funds. Then when you take all those checks together and make a deposit, you go to make a deposit, you pull all those undeposited funds together and it'll take it out of there. So that's a little bit, you want to make sure you monitor that and that this is a true number. Whatever it says at the bottom of that, you have that money in your hand ready to go be put in a bank. So that's what your undeposited funds are. So let's see. And this is our truck. It's going to pull that from when we put our stuff in. Originally, when we entered it as a notes payable, takes that information from there. Our liabilities, make sure your credit card matches. This is your Board of Equalization. So this is sales tax that you owe, that should balance. You have a loan payable. So you want to make sure that's accurate, that you've posted the payments so it comes off of there. You also have notes payable. Loan payable is short-term, notes payable is long-term. And I would not put in something called loan payable. I would change the name of that. This would be, it would be loan payable, and I would put to, Joe Smith. He loaned us money to start the business. I would do the same thing with this. It would be notes payable truck loan. So it would have to have more information on it. For me, that leaves it too open. And you'd have to investigate what that is down the road when you've had loans payable number 2 and notes payable 3, 4, and 5. So you want to put a little more detail in that to begin with. Your equity, it's automatically going to pull these numbers, and this is accountant type stuff. So I'm sorry, but I can't really help you with that. That's what the accountant does. So these are the 2 reports you want to know. More importantly than this one is watch your profit and loss. This is the one that's going to help you keep things clean, keep it in the right place, and it's going to make a difference at the end of the year. And then one more thing I want to show you about any of these reports is display columns. You can do it by week, by month, by year, by quarter. Month on the profit and loss seems to be a good one. Now, we didn't start business till August, so we're going to start that on August. And we're going to run, we want to put it back on cash, and we're going to go run report. Now, look, it gives us that same report, but it breaks it down by month. And this is a really good thing. One thing I noticed about this was down here where their rent is. Well, they only paid rent in 1 month. Well, usually if you do rent, it's every month. So that would be something I would question there. They only paid PG&E, so I don't know, maybe December just hasn't been added yet. Maybe this was new because that's when their utilities started. The phone, I would assume they would have had all along. So this is a way to watch and compare from month to month. Well, what did I spend more on this month than last month? So it's just a great way to watch your numbers. So that's about all I have. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The only other thing I was going to mention, and I was going to do it at the beginning and I forgot, I'm sorry, is last time we talked about the mileage tracker. You can see that over here. And basically, really, I can't show you a lot of that because it's done on your phone. It's done with the mobile app. It's not done here. What you're going to do here is just add your vehicle. And then you can manually add trips if you want, but you can add your vehicle here. And then as you do it on the app, it's a swipe right and left kind of thing for business or personal. And it will track it. You can put exactly what it is, what client you went to see, or whatever it is, or why you were driving. You can put as much or as little detail in there as you want. It's very user friendly, but it is all on the app. So unfortunately, I can't show that to you, but it is very user friendly. And I did send out some instructions on how to do that. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, but I did want to touch base on the mileage. So if we don't have any questions, then I guess we'll call it a day. Precious gifts. So thank you for sharing a little bit of your time with me today. Let's see, do we have a question? Let's see, it just says thank you. Well, you're quite welcome. If I can ever help in any way, please don't hesitate to contact me. I love to help small businesses figure out this mountain that they've made out of the molehill. It doesn't have to be as scary or as difficult as people think it is. You don't have to stress out over it. I can help you make it easy peasy, and you can get on with life and not stress over it. So